How do you know the best time to sell your business? A lot of times people think about selling their business when they're burnt out, when they're tired, when they're ready to retire. And then they start saying, what do I need to do to get the business ready? Ideally, you get the business ready years in advance. And here's what I mean. A lot of times, business owners will use their company to cover expenses that they wouldn't usually cover except for the fact that they own the business. I'll give you an example. A business owner may decide to have a company meeting in Hawaii. And for 3 of the 5 days in Hawaii, the business owner is having meetings there with the business owner's senior management, or maybe the business owner's spouse who also works in the company. Let's call it a strategic annual planning meeting in Hawaii. And the business owner, let's assume, is able to deduct all of that trip as a business expense. The airfare there, the hotel, etc. Maybe the business owner gets a little training while there. There are a lot of different ways that business owner can have a legitimate business tax deduction for something that provides a fairly fun and enjoyable vacation for the business owner. That's the kind of thing that may be in the financials of the company, reducing the profitability of the company. Usually when you sell a company, the purchase price is based on the profits of the company times a period of time. So for example, the purchase price might be last year's profits times 3 for 3 years. So the buyer might say, hey, I'll buy your business for last year's profits times 3 years. Or maybe it's last year's profits times 2 years or 8 years. It's all up for negotiation. But as you can see, a $20,000 trip to Hawaii will reduce your profits in a year by $20,000. But that will be multiplied times, say, 3 years in a purchase price. So it's actually reducing your purchase price by $60,000. That is a very simple example of why you want to have your company as profitable as possible for 2 to 3 years leading up to selling, because it is those years the buyer will look at when determining what price the buyer is willing to pay. The more profitable the company, as a general rule, the more a buyer is willing to pay. So either you stop going on those Hawaiian vacations for 3 years prior, or you clean up the financials to back those amounts out and then have that documented so the buyer can see why you are backing out some of those lawful tax exemptions that the business won't actually have after the buyer takes over the company. Other examples might be a company vehicle, wages at some level, or a family member's wages. It might be the purchase of technology that also has a significant benefit to the owner. There are a lot of lawful tax exempt expenses that a company won't continue to have after a new buyer takes over. And so generally, it's best to start dealing with that. So that's the financial piece, the purchase price piece. The next consideration in getting the maximum dollar amount is making sure your business can run without you, because the buyer probably isn't going to want you to continue to work there, and you probably don't want to stay in the business after you sell it. So having a good operating system in place strengthens the value of the company and increases the purchase price of the company, the amount you'll get paid. One example of that is Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business, which is a book by Gino Wickman talking about the entrepreneurial operating system. I love this operating system. I'm a huge fan. I have no ties to it, but I have seen time and time again where companies who have gone from 10 to 100 employees have grown and become more healthy through the EOS, or the Entrepreneurial Operating System, explained very simply in the book Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business by Gino Wickman. You can pick it up for a few dollars on Amazon. In fact, we'll put a link in the description below. All right, so having a strong operating system is important in increasing the value of the sale of your business. A next important piece is if you have any important employees, you might consider, if they are essential to running the business, having some sort of employment agreement in place. Maybe that's a non-solicitation agreement. Maybe it's an agreement to work for a number of years in the company so that when a new buyer comes in, they are buying the value of the team that can run the company, and they are not at risk of losing people who are vital to the profitability of the company. So the timing of selling a company will substantially affect the purchase price you receive when you sell the company. And the pieces to start working on are cleaning up the financials so you are as profitable as possible, establishing an accountability and operating system within your company so that the company can run without you, and then ensuring that the vital employees of your company are able to stay after your departure. And you might even just sit back and say, are there any other parts of the company that won't run well if I leave? And then attend to those areas, because the value of your company is directly tied to the profits the buyer will expect after your departure. If your departure is likely to reduce the profits of the company, the buyer will pay less than she otherwise would have for your company. If you have other questions about things we've discussed, or other legal topics, or business topics, topics of importance to entrepreneurs, CEOs, and leaders running companies, please feel free to add them into the comments section below. I will use those questions to generate ideas and topics for future live Q&A sessions that you can watch right here. If you want to be alerted to the next live Q&A, you can subscribe on the YouTube channel and click notifications. You can subscribe to our newsletter to get an email update at aaronhall.com/free. Or if you follow us on one of the other social media platforms, you may, if the platform allows it, get some sort of update regarding our next live Q&A. I'm Aaron Hall, an attorney for business owners and entrepreneurs. This is an educational program so that you can spot issues to discuss with your attorney, avoid common problems in companies, and hopefully enjoy the rewards of a more successful company and life. Thanks for joining today.